Thank you for the virtual students coming to introduce yourselves and to see us tonight. We appreciate it, and thank you for joining us. At this time, we will turn the meeting over to Mr. Tyler.
Thank you, Ms. Swagger. I appreciate it. Right before we get started, Dr. Harrison, know you're here somewhere.
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to address with the group and maybe introduce some folks? I know we have time afterwards, if they want to walk around.
Okay. Thank you. Well, welcome to the Baldwin County Virtual School. Someone that I was talking to earlier said that they thought they might walk into a cloud and find the virtual school there. So we are not in a cloud. It's a real life school, but we're very excited to have you here. We have 113 students enrolled for next year. And just since I've been here, I think we've received about 5 applications. So I won't be surprised if we're up to 125 or 130 by Monday. So we're growing very quickly. So thank you. Teachers, I'll just take a second. I have Miss Jackie Helms in the back right here. She's our lead teacher for the virtual school, and Miss Natalie Kendrick, who is our math teacher for the virtual school, and they are the teachers who help run this school and supervise and work with our students every single day, proctor all of their exams. We also have several of our students here, and I know they've gone around and introduced themselves to you, but we're very happy to have them here as well. And we also have from Faulkner State Community College, Ms. Patty Houston. We are very thankful to Faulkner because they donate this building to us and let us use it every day for the virtual school. So thank you.
Any questions for Dr. Harrison about the virtual school? I had a chance to visit during the spring and came to their graduation. 25 graduates this past year, I believe, given over $1 million in scholarships.
That's correct. That's correct.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I think it's just going to get better. So.
How many students graduated? I mean, I came to it, but I can't remember how many.
25.
We had 25.
25. I wouldn't be fan of virtual school, but this in the spring made me a believer. There are certain kids that fit that criteria, and out of those 25 kids, had over $1 million in scholarships. It just blew me away. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm all on board.
I had to see it too.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw.
Well, to add to that, I know that when we first started the virtual school, a lot of people, there was really a misconception that the virtual school was for students who, had maybe not done well and had their discipline problems, or who couldn't cut it in the regular school setting. But these are phenomenal students that we have here tonight, and I know Ms. Harrison was talking about some of the AP scores, and I think we've cleared that misnomer up. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Stephanie, for doing this. I think it's a great program.
Thank you. We appreciate your support, and our students are going to stick around, so they'll be happy to talk with you after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Swagger. First up, we have the Baldwin County Education Coalition annual report. Terry Burton. No, that is not Terry.
I'm Tommy Powell. Terry is over here, our executive director. I am stepping in her place to do a presentation about what the coalition has accomplished this year, and hopefully gain endorsement for further work this coming year on behalf of Baldwin County Public Schools. Before I get started, I would like to recognize our board members that may be here from our coalition. If you would mind, please stand and be recognized for your work. A couple of them are already standing there. Appreciate y'all being here. Now, if I get off kilter here, I apologize. I'm not that coordinated. Hitting the button and talking. The coalition, our mission is to engage community shareholders in public education and to advocate with one voice for the success of every child in Baldwin County. Our core business is to mobilize resources and support Baldwin County schools. In that vein, our mission, our core business are listed on our agenda at every meeting and on our nameplates. to remind us of the very reason why we exist. This annual report covers the 2015-2016 school year, and it's the third consecutive contract for services with Baldwin County Schools. It's also a summary of the monthly reports that are provided to the school board throughout the year. Our actions are focused on 6 key areas of concern, starting with informing and engaging shareholders. I was fortunate enough to serve on the Community Advisory Task Force last summer. I was not at that time a member of the coalition. I just joined late in the fall. I really did not know what to expect in that experience when I entered into it. Without that experience, I would not be here today on behalf of the school system. Throughout the careful and thoughtful facilitation of the coalition, a diverse and dedicated group of citizens from across Baldwin County spent countless hours researching, gathering information, literally leaving no stone unturned. We spent over 12 weeks meeting and debating the issues and produced a report on which we were all proud to place our names. We learned a lot about each other's concerns and desires for our public school system. We worked diligently to create workable solutions to make our school system even better than it is today. Without the countless hours of facilitation and guidance by the board of directors of the coalition, the task force could not have occurred. Our next focus, and again, we're just picking a highlight of many, many accomplishments throughout the year. But we're going to focus on a couple of large ones that we think are important. And from our 2014 summer conference, the coalition used revenue to hire a grant writer, Linda Spangrud, and Linda's here with us tonight. Linda, would you stand please and be recognized? Linda worked at a very discounted rate to write our grant for the National Science Foundation application. Well over a 30% discount over what she normally charges. And we only had a $10,000 budget for this grant, which may sound like a lot, but with 987 hours, you can do the math. That's not, you get a really good return on your money with 987 hours that went into putting this grant together. In fact, Linda donated over 200 hours of her time on top of what she was compensated for to get this grant together. If selected, the $1.2 million National Science Foundation grant, which would be $400,000 spread over a 3-year period, annually for 3 years, would be awarded to the district. Of that total, $28,000 is budgeted for the coalition as outreach coordinator, which would potentially reduce the amount of funds received through the contract for services requested tonight. What is very easy to look past are the resources that groups of volunteers, such as our board, but also many, many people, business leaders and talented individuals like Linda, that give their time because it's a nonprofit organization, it's non-governmental. I think John and Ms. Tyler could probably attest that there aren't that many people jumping up and down to give away their services to the school system. But through this organization, we are able to capture a lot of that, and people are willing to give their time and effort to make Baldwin County schools a better opportunity for all of us. In fact, I'll say that a grant writer of Linda's caliber would easily cost double the amount of our entire contract for services for the past year if we were to employ her for this purpose. Professional leadership and development. This past year at our Education Summit, we invited a nationally renowned public school advocate author, Jamie Vollmer, who wrote a book called Schools Cannot Do It Alone. I got to meet Jamie, listen to him. It was a powerful, powerful program. If you weren't there, you need to get the book. It's a great read, and it really tells a story of public education in this country. Some history, the challenges that are built into public education, and it's something that all of us as citizens need to read and need to understand the challenges that our educators go through every day. I can only speak for myself, but my greatest takeaway was the power that our teachers have to deliver the message for public education. Supporting our educators in that endeavor is a major goal of the coalition, and we believe we can continue to grow in that area. Our next area of focus is advocacy. And there's been a small issue floating around the past several years that concerns the continuing struggle to find adequate funding for our schools here in Baldwin County. I'm sure some of you may have heard about it. The Coalition Board of Directors feels like it is our job as the only county-wide group advocating solely for Baldwin County Public Schools to educate the public, our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers about the financial crisis that exists in our schools today. We understand and appreciate the total dedication and incredibly hard work that has been put in by our school administration, our board, to accomplish this task. However, as a layperson who's not involved in the fight every day, in this cynical age of social networking where anybody with a keypad, frankly, can claim to have facts that aren't facts, you simply can't compete with that when you only have a few little sound bites through the news media to combat those efforts. But we can, because with an organized and disciplined effort, we as volunteers have educated the general public and will continue to educate the general public about the truth. And they say the truth will set us free. Well, we believe that sincerely, and it's all about the facts. We don't have to embellish anything when we talk about public education and what the needs are here for our children in Baldwin County. And we're going to continue to do it until we reach the funding level that's going to sustain our schools going forward permanently. As a result of our efforts over the last year, nearly 60% of Baldwin County voters showed their support for school funding in the last tax referendum, which is something to be proud of for all of us and a very, very strong positive thing. With more time to prepare, we believe that we can improve on that number when the next opportunity to fund our schools arises. Best practices is one of our areas of focus. As a member of the State Board of Alabama Math, Science, Technology, and Engineering Coalition, Terry, our director, chair of a regional committee to host a regional STEM forum at the Gulf Coast Maritime Museum. Over 150 attendees from Mobile and Baldwin County. The main focus was to keep the importance of increasing STEM learning opportunities within our public schools. Programs and services. This is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. The ACT Work Ready community program is a very important initiative. If you're not aware of it, I know our college folks are, and I know our administration is very aware of it. It's about gaining meaningful employment for new graduates from Baldwin County Public Schools. Teaching and testing for skills that are necessary to be a quality employee in today's workforce is critical, and Baldwin County schools have committed to this endeavor, and the coalition has been leading the way in the business and industrial community to recognize and utilize the program in the recruiting and hiring process. If we get them ready and we test them and get them have the results to prepare on and show that they're prepared, we need somebody to buy into that in the private sector. If we don't, we kind of miss the point. So we're driving that, and Terry's done an outstanding job of taking a leadership role on a committee of business, government, and community organizations to see this project completed. And we're all already well on our way to accomplishing that. Now, this is kind of an important slide because it gives you just a small sampling of the time that has been expended in the various areas of focus over the last 12 months. Education Summit being one of the larger ones, grid conference, ACT Work Ready Communities, 253 hours devoted. The National Science Foundation grant, 987 hours alone, is just incredible. I will say that these numbers are extremely conservative. I personally put in 480 hours into the Community Advisory Task Force, not literally, but it was close. It felt like it by the end. But I'll guarantee you we could, with our board members, and that's what we're really talking about, just our board members and Terry at that time put in well over 480 hours to that effort. And I believe it was extremely worthwhile endeavor. Now, expenditures and how we raise money, and our budget was a little bit different from 2014 to 2015, as you can see. Total revenue in 2015 was $105,000. Our expenditures were a good bit more than that, but those were funds that were raised during the previous year and expended in the next year, next fiscal year. Some of the reasons for that decrease, largely because of our devotion to the Build, Fall, and Now campaign and facilitating the task force. That was months and months of work, a lot of work that was placed into those projects, and certainly worthwhile, and we're proud that we devoted that time to it. But it did have a cost to us from the overall fundraising effort. Another way we're attempting to increase sustainable revenues through services such as the backpack program. The school system allowed us to put out a survey of interest to parents, and there was interest there to purchase backpacks for the new laptops coming out this year, Chromebooks, and that will be a way ongoing that we can provide a service and get a very small handling fee for that to raise money to offset some of our expenses and reduce the burden on the contractor services. We also continue a corporate partnership with the Baldwin County Sewer Service to operate a first-rate golf tournament. Typically, it's going to raise between $20,000 and $25,000. We're trying to grow that this year to offset offset more expenses and grow our budget a little bit. We're also exploring corporate advertising for our website as a means to become financially independent. Board members, I'll ask you to refer over to your left-hand side of the booklet that's in front of you, contract for services for 2016 to 2017. We're recommending another community engagement initiative, much like the task force, but a little bit different. It will be called the Great Conversation. This is a phrase that was used by Jamie Ballmer in his book, Schools Cannot Do It Alone. But it's not just a phrase, it's really a way of life. It's for public education here in Baldwin County if we're going to be successful. The Great Conversation basically is educating the public and letting them know the true story of public education here in our community. This will be in preparation for what lies ahead in 2018 in regards to the renewal of the penny tax, because it needs to start today, cannot start soon enough. And also for any other long-term funding solutions that may come down the road. Educating the public is key. I ask you to recall my comments about grassroots communication to the public. Our coalition board, along with incredible volunteers like Kevin Corcoran, Doug Warren, David Boslow, are already actively engaging in the Great Conversation. However, it is our goal to recruit and train many messengers who have an interest in our future so that they can spread the factual information that will change the average citizen's perception of public schools in Baldwin County. As a change to our past contract proposals, the contract is being presented as a menu of services. Table lists the number of hours and estimated value of each service. The board can choose which services you wish to receive, and once selected, the total will be divided into a monthly rate. In conclusion, we believe that the only way to change the perception of our schools is through grassroots face-to-face interaction with our friends, neighbors, and coworkers. We're dedicated volunteers. Our motives are pure, and we are backed by the truth. Our position in the community allows us to stand up for children and our educators and be heard. Tonight, the Baldwin County Education Coalition Board of Directors humbly asks for your endorsement and financial support to continue this critical mission. Thank you.
Thank you, John, I appreciate it. Board, I know we're kind of at crossroads on some things, and we're thinking back on this new fiscal year, some things that are on the tail end of. Do you have any words or thoughts that you want to mention concerning the Education Coalition? You have to make a decision about it if you have comments. Shouldn't be well.
I guess my question to you, Mr. Tyler, if we did not engage the coalition, who's going to do this work? Okay.
Do we have grant writing?
I'll say we used to, like years ago, but I think each division might have somebody that has some expertise in that area, such as Homework Division or, some of our other divisions, special education, career tech. But as far as a grant writer for our school system, no.
Well, isn't it true that we probably bypassed billions of dollars in grants by not having a grant writer?
I would say that's a good assumption.
I know I've been in systems that have got these tremendous grants and it was people on staff, we didn't have to go out and pay anybody extra. They were trained to write grants, and they received just millions of dollars in grants over the years. And a system as big as ours, we would have to qualify for grants.
I know our local schools have their experts there, sometimes write grants for certain things in the school. But no, we don't. A lot of systems, especially large systems, do have a grant writer. And some aspect. In Fall City, we were very small, but we had somebody identified that would look for these opportunities and write time to time grants to try to get them. But what we would do, Mr. Tarwar's point, I don't have that answer. I'm really not sure at this point. Because I do know I've seen what the coalition does. I'll just go ahead and wait here. I don't want to interrupt anybody else. There's a lot of mixed emotions because we are facing some uncharted waters in the next several years with funding. We all know that. We want to be very mindful of that. I do know I sat in on the coalition's board meeting a month or two ago, Terry, I think, and was very insightful. I don't think Shannon had an opportunity to go that, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're trying to repurpose themselves a little bit, rebrand themselves, remarket, not just that education that is about these services that they're saying, well, what do we choose from here? To maybe better serve, have better grip on, well, what do we need to do? Maybe we need to rethink ourselves. That's kind of what I came out of your meeting, understanding that it's just not the same old. I think they're at a crossroads where they understand they might have to repurpose themselves and how they provide services to Baldwin County schools. I do think they have value. I do. I know I mentioned to them when I was there when we thought about maybe a reduced contract fee. All those things were very receptive. I think here you're not giving a fee. You're saying what if these services are attractive to the Baldwin County Board of Education. So that's how I see it. We talked to, which I didn't know until lately in the spring. This is a month-to-month contract in a sense. If you start it, it doesn't work out. So we're just not saying what we need to see. You get the $1.2 million Science Foundation grant. That's pretty sweet. I think that would solve a lot of issues for you and what you want to do for our school systems. I guess I'm just giving you my thoughts, and I know that we're right there at crossroads on what to do, because we are going to be pulling back on some things coming this time next year. We've already cut some of our budgets. John and myself have talked, some of our divisions. My budget's been cut. You know, we're going to be looking at cutting travel back. I mean, a lot of those things. So we're prepared. You know, I guess the thing about this is it's month to month in a sense. But if it's just not working out, it ain't going further if you, the board, feel like it's beneficial to our children. But I do see the bank. I really do. I think they do have a bank. I think maybe there was a period of time where they were debanked. Didn't really have an opportunity to do the things they really wanted to do. Because I was here, you were here when the coalition first was getting started with input from Mobile, coming over, talking about, how to do, our foundations and things of that nature. So I'm not going to get long-winded, but I just thought I'd throw in my 2 cents. I mean, ultimately it's the board's decision to continue service.
I have a question, Terry, if I may, either perhaps to you or to Linda, either one. And I'm new, so forgive me that I don't know these details. But what is the focus of the 1.2 million science grant? What is the $400,000 to be used for on a yearly basis? Where is that money going to go if we should be fortunate enough to get it?
It would focus on the 4 Foley schools to enhance STEM. It's an iTest grant, innovative teaching, innovative technology experiences for students and teachers. We have reached out, and it's about engaging the business community and getting them plugged in and providing these hands-on real-world experiences in STEM fields. We've engaged 21 businesses that all submitted letters of engagement and commitment should we win the grant. I'll say, because we took so much time to define such a quality project, we're ready to start taking that project and submitting it to other funding sources as well.
Are you saying our students would go into the business or
in the business we come to the school?
The business will come to schools?
Both of that will be occurring, yes.
Okay.
I think I can add to that.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I'm the retired educator. Truthfully, it is a comprehensive program, more comprehensive than most National Science Foundation grants. We not only looked at what we needed for students, what do we need for teachers, and what does the community need to develop the workforce. In the grant, we will have intensive staff development training.
Okay.
We have the curriculum, the new curriculum. We have designed it with STEM innovators. Those are teacher coaches who will work with their colleagues to ensure that we're doing that. We have after-school programming and we have summer camps. The after-school programs will be using modules with real-life experiences based on the need of our community. We all know that in 2018, we need 110,000 STEM workers in Alabama. Only 23% of our kids are going to STEM careers. We got an issue. So we put in some real life experiences with the business partners. We have a strong parent component. We have Discovery Saturdays. We have evening events where we have career tech labs set up. We're going to have interactive work for the parents. And then in the business world, these are some of the things besides what Terry mentioned. There'll be classroom presentations and there will be field trips. And we have career coaches, mentors, and we have EPAL mentors. EPAL mentors is the 21st century because the people do not have enough time in their work from, let's say, UTC or Airbus, an engineer. And what we're setting up is a secure email system The little child after school, dear Miss Terry, why did you become an engineer? And I've seen this work where children said, I never thought I could be an engineer. I never thought I could be a doctor. So we have that, and then we have internships, and we have real life experiences. Example, I don't know if you know Foley, but in Foley, Alabama, we have a huge development going in at Poach Creek Indians. And one of the things they're putting in is a roller coaster. Well, they are one of our partners. So when the kids in second and third and fourth grade are studying motion, they're going to make these little roller coasters, but then they're going to go and work with Poach Creek Indians. So it's real life experience around the environment and the need for engineers in our whole community.
We can provide you with the one-page summary, that will give you, and we've held off coming and giving a presentation, a detailed presentation about the project or the grant itself, waiting until we hear if it's awarded or not. Why do a lot of informing and presenting and it's not awarded? They will only award, it's 15 to 20 nationally. So we're just, hoping, we're confident we've created an excellent program.
I want to comment about it. You mentioned crossroads. You mentioned about 3 different crossroads. There's so many crossroads that give you these road now. It gets very confusing. And speaking for this contract, I think it's critical, very crucial, because there's no one that can, it could, but to have the time to do, this is a bargain in my opinion. It is a value. It still has value. You mentioned that. Because with so many crossword puzzles and crossroads coming to us over the next year or 2, I think the grassroots of this speaks a lot for it. I think it's a bargain. I first said twice the price, but I better not say that. It's a bargain. And yes, anyway, in my opinion, I'm just sympathetic.
I almost look at it, I would agree with you, Cecil, in that, let's say if we don't go along with this contract and we didn't begin this great conversation, we're basically saying we're going to run a campaign. We're not going to run a campaign. We're just going to throw it out there. And we already know that the people that are going to be against this, they're going to be funded. They're going to have their signs up. It's all going to be, the image of that, us not being able to describe who we are, what we're about, how good this school system is, it's just unfair to the students. I don't see what alternative we have, unless we just don't do anything.
How do we overcome the, like Mr. Tyler said, I was here when the coalition was formed, a few of us were, and nobody has to tell me what kind of time y'all put in and how effective y'all are and what kind of support y'all have given the school system. Absolutely, I know that. My concern is, how do we overcome the perception that you guys are that the coalition is a paid arm of the Board of Education, because that's what hurt the credibility in the first place. They used that against us because y'all were a partner. How can we be partners and not have that perception at the same time?
I don't
It's a difficult question.
I don't know if there's a way.
Well, I think what we recognized this past March, and something we were very, very careful with the Supporting Our Schools campaign, we were behind the scenes just bringing citizens who wanted to support that effort and work towards that effort. They were the ones who ran the campaign. We just offered the coordination, bringing them together. So it wasn't you know, it wasn't Terry Burkle's face out there. And it's unfortunate that over the past few years, I think the public perception is that the coalition is Terry Burkle. And the reality is, the coalition is 7 education foundations, 5 chambers of commerce, that businesses, parents, you know, who come together in support of our public schools. And they need to be the ones out front. They need to be the ones sharing the message. And we're just that support mechanism, you know, to bring them together. And I think that's how we do that. I think that's how we did it, you know, this past campaign.
We wouldn't have the penny tax that would you guys. I mean, y'all's support system is what put that penny tax in place. We would have had it twice without you guys. Absolutely no way. And because it was a ground up grassroots effort from the citizens, not the Board of Education. And I just hate it that someone has allowed that to be made, you know, made into something that's not true. That's
Well,
not
I would suggest it was actually a joint effort, because the district, Ms. Dawson, focused internally. And I think with any future campaigns, if the district stays out of the fray publicly and focuses on morale and internally in your employees, and you let the community be your front line, you know, for engaging the community and informing the community, then that protects you. They're the ones that get the bullets, not you as board members and
I see this a little
executives.
bit of a yin and yang. You know, is there public perception there? I don't know if we can ever dispel that it's there. What we do if we don't have them, I don't have an answer right now. The large systems maybe hire grant writers, yes they do. So probably in the end, if we don't have these services, we're going to be looking for services, and those services are going to cost us dollars. Yes, maybe there's somebody out there that might say, well, all right, you're not associated, but the board hires you, you know, that the board contracts you. Here you have 7 foundations. You have our citizens advocating for our children. You know, so kind of like, you know, if you don't, that's not ever going to go away. You know, but if we sit here and think that, you know, I mean, I'm going to spend as many hours as I can advocating for funding and working with our legislators like y'all and working with our employees, but bottom line is we're never going to convince those that don't like us to like us. We just need to make sure we can encourage those who need to be shown, you know, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, come over to the side of those that always approach us. So it's tough. We're tough. It's somebody, either way, something's going to have to happen.
I'm sorry, Eddie, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had to put my 2 cents in. After having gone through the task force and seeing the transformation of so many people that had all kinds of different ideas, we all kind of moved toward the center, but of different areas of thought. You know, there were people that were just anti-tax, anti-government. There were people that were anything for education, doesn't matter, but, you know, and we all came together and realized that the reality was somewhere in the middle, that the truth, that's what the truth was. And the truth is that our school's in a terrible situation, and we can't fix it with what we got, you know, what we got coming in. It's nothing's going to change that. But it's up to us, as general citizenry, not you guys, because you're doing your job, and we appreciate what you do. It's a thankless job, but I thank you for what you do. And we know this is not an easy decision to make. Every dime counts, and we appreciate that as much as anybody, because we've studied it. We can understand it. But we do believe that a small investment can grow, you know, a few seeds can grow a whole garden. And that's what we're after. We need to keep that garden growing and head in the right direction. And being the face, the organization, talking to the public. It's got to be Joe Blow down the street, John Doe and Gulf Shores. We created some education zealots with this task force. Y'all know who some of, I mentioned some of them in my report. They are just passionate about helping Baldwin County get to where it needs to be in our education system. And it's not about emotion, it's all about facts. They are delivering it with facts. Can't argue it. You know, there are a lot of people who lie out there. I hate to say it, but it's just a fact. They will lie and say anything they can to twist things. But if we meet people one-on-one, that will solve that problem. That is the only way we'll solve it. And it's got to be grassroots, and it's got to be widespread, and it's going to take at least 2 years to get the message across. It's just got to be ongoing, and it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of discipline effort. But we appreciate all y'all do for us.
Well, we appreciate you serving on the task force, because in my opinion, that task force is what got that 3 bill passed. It was people who were volunteers from all different parts of the county, and I hear and I listen to the people when they complain. They complain about the Education Coalition is not being, you know, it is paid. It's paid $60,000, and it's not, you know, it's something they hammer on. And you're gonna have a certain group of people gonna hammer, I don't care what you do. But the task force got out there, volunteered, did it for nothing. And they wanted to complain, and they did in some areas, but hey, it didn't go anywhere. It never could sprout legs because nobody was being paid. And and we would have got all 4 of our meals had it not been for that quirky 60% on that one meal. And we should have listened to the naysayers and entered it as a new tax, and we could have got it at 50% if we'd have had time. Like they said, it was a new tax. Well, they need to give it to us, because if it would have been, it would have only been 50%. But then there again, I appreciate what the task force did. I mean, it was unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Any other questions?
One other comment. All right, you know, in this list of services and advisory group, you know, let's just say we decided not to go with this. What are we going to do with that? We're not going to run it. I mean, we're going to have to hand it off to somebody to run that, and it's a big deal. It's a lot of work putting that together. I just, you know,
Even though there are those out there that don't think our staff from the school level to the central office level is stretched, I guarantee you, walk with me, see how they're stretched, what they're doing, what they've done.
But we're still gonna have the task force that's gonna be advocating for this tax.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good, because that's gonna be huge for us.
Yes, and I would say, and I've been adamant about this. We can't. I mean, I really don't think that we as board members need to be the ones out there driving that. It's the people that we have mentored and will continue to mentor. They're going to mentor, and but it's going to be a disciplined, organized way to do that. But those are the people that have to do it. And you know, I may have to vacate, you know, this board so I can get involved more. But I know dozens of people that are already doing it, and we're going to sprout that and grow it even further. But we don't think we need to be the face of that. There are organizations and groups of people that are going to do that on behalf of our school children, and we're going to support them in the background. But they need to have that independent, and they're ready to do it. They're you know.
That's my idea.
And I'll have to say, from one end of the county to the other, where I've been to talk to groups, there's a positive energy. Is there those that have things to say that we get concerned about? But in all the recommendations I've made with you, no one in a group has called me down for saying, why did you do that? I know it supports children, what a ridiculous expenditure of money. Why did you do that? I know that person supports, but it has nothing to do with supporting our children when it does. I think we have people that understand that we're trying real hard to do a very difficult task under difficult circumstances with the funds we have. Folks, we're getting a lot of mileage out of the funds we have. But eventually we're going to hit a wall, you know, and these they're not gonna stop coming. 105 portables now, I believe, John, is that right? About 105, up from 91. So they read the news, they see the TV. They don't stop coming to Ball County for quality of life and good education. And I think we have a duty to make sure that somehow we find a way to continue to make it work. But I know we spent a lot of time on that, and I think it was important that that's why we're ready for this to move on.
If you don't mind, before we move on, I apologize, but at the beginning of the meeting, I failed to recognize Ms. Woodburn and welcome her to our staff. So thank you for being here, and we're very excited about you being here as our academic dean. Sorry that I did not get it.
We all were very blessed. She's been everywhere. So I appreciate it. Right now, transportation change is drop-off pickup between Washington and lots of elementary schools. I'm gonna let Mr. Roy speak to that. He has been working on this issue. You have something in your work session package, a letter from transportation in August of this year, and there's a letter from the previous transportation, which dates back to September of 09. What else work?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Grab that. Did y'all get the maps? Or y'all just did the letter?
What we're gonna work on more.
Okay, you got the maps, you want to leave it.
told us.
I'm taking it down.
If you have no, on your laptop, you do it.
All right. Just real quick, if you'll notice the blue, the purple area here, this is the Rosslyn area. Well, originally, all of this was, and if you'll notice also, there's one road that actually Ms. Dawson was part of this change back in 2009. I don't know if any of you have ever been out in that little area, but when they call it Truck Road 17, you know what kind of road you're dealing with.
A truck trip. A truck trip.
That's it. Don't think out there logging trucks. It might have pavement, it might not. But we have kids that live there. Now, right now, we're lucky. This happened in 2009. A bridge went out and the State Department of Transportation wouldn't pay the we will fix it. They weren't going to spend that kind of money. So what happened was these kids, all these kids here went to Roslyn. And because we couldn't get to them on the bus, we ran this one route out and brought them down to Robert State, Elementary, Central Ball, stuff like that. Now, all of Roslington ends up in Central Ball Middle School anyway, and Rockville's feeding pattern. Well, now this bridge is gone out, and they're not going to repave it, so there's no way to get to it this way. So the only way to get to these kids is go all the way around through Roslington, back up this way. We still can't go over this one bridge until the state transportation says that the load bearing weight is good enough for our buses to go over. You know, those big trucks, they go over, they don't care, but we have a little more standards that's running over those bridges. So you can see how far it will be to pick up. And they're right out of here, there's one child that's in the kindergarten, going to be in kindergarten, so she's never been in school. That's it, the whole thing. So we're going to spend a lot of money traveling way out there to pick up one kid, bring them all the way back around here to Robertson. So it'd be better to move this back into Rossington where it was in the first place. We still can't get all the way to them, but the mother actually said, look, I'll drop them over that bridge and meet the bus. And then Rossington School like right out here. So,
Parent is fine, I think.
yeah, the parent actually really would like that because they really don't want their child. I mean, they would be on the bus for over an hour every day, both ways, so 2 hours a day. Not to mention how much money it would cost to run that bus driver that's going to run a whole van, how much extra fuel and all that. It would be a lot. So really what you're just asking is, let's take this back to where it was before in 2009 and let that be Washington. And we're only talking about one kid.
And then basically some information I reviewed, let you know, I think this was changed back in 2009.
Yeah.
I don't really think it.
Because they would fix the bridge.
They won't, they're not going to fix this one now.
So that's the county.
So because they won't let them touch it. I don't know if that's a county road or that's a state road.
That's,
Probably
that's
county.
county. That's county.
Yeah.
Because
They
when
won't-
the first freeze went out, they wouldn't fix it, then they went in and patched it up. I don't know what the problem is. You know, they'll fix roads that shouldn't even be fixed. And that road should be, and they won't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what their deal is.
Oh.
But the mama's fine with it.
Oh, yeah, she's actually asked for that. It's much easier for her and the kids, I mean, we just wanted you to understand before Mr. Tyler signs off. And one other quick thing too, and then I wish we'd throw this out there if you don't mind. It's something me and Dr. Woodward have been working on. I hadn't brought it to y'all's attention, but it's really on us now, is y'all heard of the 10 TiVo Act, correct? Where homeschool kids can come to school. You know, the Athletic Association has now deemed that these kids can come to our school. We've been working real hard on getting the final policy for how we're gonna deal with it. And we finally got the last part from the athletic, from the State Department of Education today. And that was a big part. And now we're able to finalize that. I think you'll be ready for tomorrow, right? And we'll put that out. We'll meet with the high school principals and middle school tomorrow, which is really where we're kind of coming to. And they'll know exactly how to enroll those kids, and how it's gonna count on our ADM, all that type of stuff. And we'll give you guys, of course, a copy. It probably will have to end up being a board policy, I believe, but, yeah. So just give you a heads up, that's coming up really soon.
We'll follow the attendance on where to live.
Yes. Wherever they would normally live, that's where they live. Okay?
Most of them do Spanish order.
Nah. Not that I'm not now. Actually, I've been having more fun with St. Michael's lately than all this other.
What's the?
Well, all right, it deals with you too. Any kid that's in Christ the King, their feeder pattern is St. Michael's. They can't even go to McGill. They're not, they have to go there. Well, I've got kids that say, well, I want to go to the, Christ the King, but then I want to go to Daphne, or I want to go to Fairhope, and I want to play sports. You can't. Not anymore.
So they have to
Because
follow-
St. Michael's is your feeder pattern. So unless you go there, you got to sit out a whole year, just like everybody else does. That's right. Yes, sir. Boy, it's making them mad. Oh, they're mad as a horn.
But that rule was in place when we built school.
Yes, it was, but nobody, I don't think St. Michael's told them that this was going to happen. They just all of a sudden next year, they're like, well, I'm gonna go to Fairhope, and I got one to run cross country.
But I mean, the rules have been there for several years.
It could be.
Well,
Any other questions? John, financial update?
Look, I've got through all the news before. You just did it.
Thank you. I may have it. Actually, I have it.
I still good to see you. Come back and go.
Fix it. I'm here for you.
All right, John, you ready? Okay.
All right, we'll be short and sweet, and we'll look forward to a long presentation this time next week. We will have our 2017 budget hearing at the Loxley office at 5 o'clock. That is kind of our in-depth financial discussion of the year, so we can all look forward to that. Okay, as of the end of July, we've had $221 million of revenue in the general fund, $205 million of expenditures, leaving us with an ending fund balance of about $60.9 for those that maybe first time at a work session, I always like to point out that $60 million looks like a lot of money until you put it into perspective that it takes us about $22 million or about $5.5 million a week to run a system this size. And so when you put it into perspective like that, it's about a 2.5 month fund balance. If we look to our July actual to budget, you can see we're 83% through with FY16, with about 86% of our budget revenue and about 78% of our total budget expenditures in the general fund. Local revenue, this dark line represents our fiscal year 2016. It's pretty much in trend with what we can expect. A little bit of a surprise is that we are a little less than $1 million this month compared to this month the previous year. I don't really have a reason or a hypothesis for that, other than it just kind of was an interesting thing to note. You can see our general fund balance. I think that we'll kind of drift down, probably close around $52 million ending fund balance by the end of this fiscal year. That will free up some additional funds if we want to talk about some wings or additions or the next kind of phase on the pay-as-you-go. I think there'll be some discussion on that, on what the board would like to include in the budget hearing and those type of things, I believe, this week. Here's our monthly details. We've collected about 97% of our ad valorem. We have 2 more months of probate judge car tax revenue that should kind of complete us on what we were estimating of about 47.6. So our property taxes came in about $1 million less than what we were estimating. There's always that period where someone's valuation is challenged or, goes through that appeal process, which can delay when we receive those revenues. And so I try to account for that the best I can in the budget, but a lot of times that's kind of hard to estimate there. Also for ones that this may be their first time to come to a work session, I like to put this into perspective too, to look at, out of our 12 mills, how does that look like when you factor in the 10 mil equity funding provision from the state? And that's the chart that's there on the bottom. I will go into that in probably a lot more detail than you guys probably ever wanted to know, probably next week in the budget hearing. Even though we were month to month, we were a little bit less than we received. Looking at just the month-to-date revenue, if we look at our year-to-date revenue, looking at the 1 cent sales tax, we're a little over $2 million. So, sales taxes continue to come in at a strong rate, looking at this fiscal year. And 2 more months left. We kind of anticipate we'll probably hit close to a $35 million mark by the end of the fiscal year. Again, I've already mentioned it, but next Tuesday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. in the auditorium at the central office, Satellite in Moxley, we'll be going through our budget hearing for 2017. I'll try to put in some fun budget facts and try to make it as interesting as I can. So that's about an hour-long presentation. If anyone's ever curious about how education funding works and the mechanics in that, I encourage you to go. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, John. So I'm truly looking forward to that next week to get a better read on where we are, where we need to go. And John said that kind of all the conversations around thoughts about our future. That's all I have. Set the agenda.
Okay, did anyone come tonight that had the opportunity to speak? Did you have the opportunity to speak?
You have amendments to the agenda. Approval of contract with Office Point Health Systems. Number 4, amendment number 6, leave of absence personnel. And number 7, retirement resignation personnel. And number 9, transfer of personnel. And number 10, appointment of personnel. Add number 12, administrative appointment. The information agenda, to transfer of reassignment personnel. I'll read through them if you have questions. Davis, Stoneman, and Crawford Law Firm. Item 1. Item 2, bids and proposals.
On the, technology, did that come in at what we were hoping, or get less or more for
The sale, it came about significantly more. Good. You'll be seeing that when it comes out.
Agenda item 3, approval of the agreement with, Bayonet, the city of Bayonet, is a partnership. I was informed they were interested. I went out there and eyeballed it. It is a ditch that runs in front of the babies where they play. Been there for years. Just nasty rodents, snakes, mosquitoes. So, the city wanted to partner with us. They sent their folks out there to talk. I think it's a good partnership. I think, that's money well spent to protect those children and the teachers. There will be a 6 foot wide on either side and run concrete, aprons running up either side of the ditch, concrete mason. And, they're gonna fix that little bridge that goes across the playground. I think, Mayor Wills about it, and I think it's a great partnership.
Is that gonna correct that problem?
Yes.
Nothing ever has.
But right now, this will correct it, for the dollar we're gonna spend. We could really, very tight. That would probably be $250,000 or $1 million.
Yeah.
So I hope it continues toward in front of the intermediate school later in years to come.
Is that gonna
Yeah, I think we're on the cost, see what we need to do.
There better be a fence there, or there's gonna be some serious issues. Cause that water comes through there like you've never seen.
Discuss that with planning. We'll bring that information back to you.
Needs to be done. Yeah, it's a good approach.
Yeah, they'll
City of Idaho, they stepped up as much as
they have, yes, absolutely. Agenda item 4, approval of contract with Alpha Point Health Systems. What I'd like to do, I have Barbara here, I've kind of kept her here, I know she's got to get somewhere by 6:30, but if you wanted to ask her any questions about this will be locally funded. It used to be federal dollars, but it's not federal dollars anymore because we don't have federal dollars to pay for it. But if you would like her to speak for a few minutes on what Alpha Point actually does, she'd be glad because we're going to have to make a decision to continue that. That's almost a question of Mr. Forward. If we don't continue it, what do we do? Because we're talking about children here, special services. Barbara, you want to step up there real quick if they have any questions for you?
Sure.
I know you have somewhere to be at 6:30, by 6:30.
I have a puppy dog I have to pick up.
I didn't want to say that.
Well, I'm not ashamed of it. Do you want me to just talk about what Alton Point does for our students with disabilities? We have 3 classrooms located this year in the Fairhope area here, across from, what is the main highway that goes through Fairhope? 98, right there at the Alton Point site. The Wings is for elementary, SOAR is for middle, and ACE is for the high school students. The high school students used to be based in the Foley site, but we are putting them all together this year for lots of different reasons. In those sites, we fund the 3 teacher units, and then we also fund part of 3 behavioral aids, and then Alton Point funds the other part, and that's the money that Mr. Tyler's referring to. As you know, our the issues with young people and mental illnesses is just skyrocketing as quickly as autism is skyrocketing. So if we did not have these 3 classrooms in Baldwin County, and they don't serve enough children because they're just 10 seats per classroom and 30 seats, that's not enough to cover the number of students that we have in Baldwin County. So at least with those three, we can rotate children in and out, for lack of a better word. Once they meet the criteria to exit, then they go back to their base school, and we have 5 or 6 more children that are ready to be looked at to see if they're eligible for those seats. There's a mental health component, the therapy component, which is critical. They are there mainly for the therapy component, to hopefully get them to a place where they can go back into the school setting and be educated as close as they can with the other children that are in the school building.
Don't you have people that are in the schools like one day a week or a set?
Alta Point, last year, in the school systems across the state of Alabama, Alta Point decided that was the best way to try to serve and to get the whole family component involved, because families were not going to the mental health sites for their therapy services and the parent component. So they discovered that it was easier for them to be based at the schools, because parents go to school buildings much easier than they do to the facility. So yes, they are there. That has nothing to do with the special education part of it.
So that's different.
That's a little bit different.
Who started that program?
Gosh, this started years
Federal
ago.
government, did they fund it to start it?
Which, for the 3 classrooms
Yes.
or
Yes.
our 3 classrooms? Well, what happened was years ago when it was Baldwin County Mental Health, and it was probably in, was it 1995, that far back? They just decided to get together because there were so many boys and girls that needed these types of services, and in the school building, they couldn't get them. And the counselors in the school building, they don't provide therapeutic services. So they did came together jointly and decided what was needed. Started out with just a wings classroom, the elementary, and then expanded it over the years through the high school component. All of your elementary and middle school students are students with disabilities, and they have IEPs, so they are served under IDEA. At the high school level, some of those students are not students with an identified disability that would make them eligible for an IEP under IDEA.
Those students, though, exhibit extreme behaviors.
They do.
Actually, all
Real,
students
they
involved
do.
in these programs. have
Yes,
extreme,
ma'am.
extreme behavior
Yes.
issues.
But you call it mental illness. Is that correct?
Well, a lot of the children in the elementary and middle school classroom, they may have a placement under emotional disability or other health impairment, because so many of your medical diagnoses can fall under other health impairment. So a lot of them have those issues, and the majority, I'm going to say almost all of these boys and girls come from home lives that are just not what we.
Yeah, out of Coleman County, they have a place where they those kids, but they wrote a grant. And see, the government recognizes this mental illness stuff. There's grants out there that you can get, and that will supply all of that. And that's what I was saying. I mean, there's got to be somebody that's already on board that has the ability to write grants. There's so many of them out there that we wouldn't even be talking about having funded ourselves, because we could be getting grants.
And I agree with probably I'm sure there's somebody in our system that has that ability, but the amount of time, if they're doing a job that we hire them for.
Well, I mean, maybe show or something, whatever. I mean, I see what we're looking into. I know everybody has a job.
What this does too is local funds, and of course, John and myself, well, we've had various conversations about the federal dollars, private dollars, and, supplanting and maintenance of effort. By going to local funds, this will increase our maintenance of effort, which, that doesn't go down. Those dollars will have to continue to be paid. But, and I know John constantly is making us aware of that, and we've had those conversations, but I just needed you to know what this service does, what it's been providing, the partnership, and I think over the years, Mr. Meyer, probably had a system decision to expand it. that early years of math.
Well, it's not that it's not important, because it really is. And, and most of those kids that, you know, have anger management issues, a lot of them do. And, you know, and they call it mental illness, and God, I'm glad they didn't test us back in the day. Because, they probably would have had to get bigger buildings.
I'll
We
just
didn't
say,
know that.
not only do we need to fund this, but I think those types of services, anytime we have an opportunity to expand them, we need to do that in each and every school, because it's not just mental illness. We have a ridiculously high rate of teen suicide, and a lot of those kids are not mentally ill, but those are kids who have problems at home and don't know how to deal with them, and they don't know who to talk to. And I think it's a slippery slope sometimes labeling it all mental illness, because those particular kids don't want to be labeled that way. And it's a problem.
Well, they deal with issues that have a very serious and direct impact on their life.
Right,
At some point, those children have to be helped,
right.
you know.
And I think that at one point, basically all the help they got was like the guys got. You know, they pull them in and they were, and that's what that's worth. I mean, you know, but yeah, we need to fund it and all, but I mean, you reach a point now that you can't fund it. I mean, because it can get so costly. So what do you do?
Well, it may be that we need to, first of all, number one, we need to fund this program, is my feeling. Second of all, to your point, in that eventually we may be at a point where, in and of our own selves, we're not able to afford that. Especially when we're picking and choosing what we can and what we cannot do based on the response. The one thing about Baldwin County that we all need to understand, and we all do understand, is that continuous growth is going to happen. And every single issue that comes to us with continuous growth is going to continue to happen and will have to be addressed. And most of them have to be addressed financially. We either have to have the money to build schools or we buy portables. We either have to have the money to deal with the issues that our children and our communities are facing, or they will bring those issues to school where they will manifest themselves in a way in which we do not want to see. And if we can provide the help, we need to. On top of that, however, to Mr. Meiner's point, I think it would be beneficial, although it would take hours and hours, and it would be very focused. But during someone's free time, I say that facetiously, Miss English, you know that. But at some point in time, it can become, you know, an opportunity to get online that looks specifically to grants that are specifically written to deal with emotional and behavioral issues for students that don't fall under IDEA, but still are students of our own, that with issues that we must address if we want a better environment in our schools and we want a better life for them. So, you know, I think we need to do both things. I think we need to fund the program. Yeah.
Can I make one
And I promise
clarification?
I'll
Because
pay
there
you
might
the
be, no, I need you to go get him. The 3 teacher units are attached to Fairhope Elementary, Fairhope Middle, and Fairhope High. So they are teacher units that are in that building, but their the classroom is on this side. The contract that Mr. Tyler's talking about is for the behavioral aids, the 3. One goes for each classroom, because those children do have meltdowns when you least expect it. You don't know what happened at home before they got there. So we pay for each one, I believe it's $20,000 for each one, and they pay the other half. So we're half funding each of the parents that are there.
Thank you. Apologies if you can't get your.
Thank you.
This wasn't for the Thank you for those questions. Agenda item 5, approval of revised board policy 605, school bus drivers. That's one dealing with the I'll be allowed to place in the physical. We're gonna bring some information in the future. Jennifer, John, myself, they've been talking, we've been running numbers, to let you know. We've been talking to Scotty, we'll have more conversation about what you can approve as well. So we'll be bringing it to you. Agenda item 6, leave of absence of personnel. Agenda item 7, retirement and resignation of personnel. Agenda item 8, vacated positions. Item 9, transfer, intent to transfer personnel. Agenda item 10, employment of personnel. Agenda item 11, extra work for extended periods. Agenda item 12, administrative appointment.
Any questions from the board? Then I believe we're done. Thank you everyone for coming. We will see you guys out.